When you're a small business owner, you need access to the tools and support you never knew you needed. At the Dream Center, we offer co-working space and support services that elevate the everyday entrepreneur. Centrally located in the rising Soul City corridor of Chicago, we're the ideal environment, offering monthly and quarterly networking for members. Bring your idea to fruition. Expand to new heights. Call now or visit thedreamcenter.co today.
Good evening. Let me do that over. Technology, I tell you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Dream Center Dreaming Out Loud webinar series, podcast webinar series. We've been in the midst of our 21-day Dream Builders Business Reset Challenge, and it's been an amazing few days so far. We are kind of halfway through, but we've been doing these weekly webinar series live online just to bring access to everyone, right? We have our students that are enrolled, but we wanted to make sure that the people who didn't enroll this time in the cohort would be able to learn and take part. So far, we kicked it off, as a small, and I'm sorry, for those of you that don't know, my name is Marcel Action Jackson. I am the CEO of the Dream Center Co-working and Business Support Services. We're located in the Soul City corridor on the west side of Chicago, the Austin community. It's an African-American business district. We have a location in Broadview, Illinois as well. And we are virtually everywhere to assist entrepreneurs across the globe start or grow their businesses. So one of the things we learned about entrepreneurship and small business is when you start a business, some of the most essential things that you need starting out, sometimes we cannot afford. So we kicked off this series with securing your brand and structuring your business correctly with attorney India Rios of the 7-Eleven Law Group. She started us off 2 weeks ago with the foundation. And then the next thing we went into was we had Stephen and Essence Keys, the owners of Expedient Tax and Accounting Services, to talk about finances, right? One of the things when I'm working with clients, and when I'm looking on social media, I see people saying, I want to make six figures. I want to make six figures. But we need to change our conversation. We want to net six figures. We want to net seven figures because, the saddest thing in the world is to look at your balance sheet and see you've earned $1 million and you still don't have any money in your pocket. So we want to make sure that we're keeping money in our pocket. So that workshop this past Tuesday was phenomenal. But this week we got to double up. We got a treat, and we're doing something a little bit differently today. Instead of our presenter just coming on and presenting alone, we're going to do an interview style, and we're going to have a conversation. She is a phenomenal entrepreneur. She is making waves in the community. Listen, and I'm looking at my notes to try to do this introduction, and I don't even need the notes. She is the CEO of WDB Marketing. They just recently opened their second location. WDB acquired a Signorama, and now it is a WDB and a Signorama. So from the south suburbs to the South Loop, they have their second location. She is the founder of the Legacy Awards and Gala and the Legacy Conference, one of the largest entrepreneurial conferences in the country. And when it comes to marketing and branding, she is a guru and helps thousands of entrepreneurs every year to secure their brand and expand their brand. So without further ado, I am so excited to have join us on this Dreaming Out Loud, because we're definitely dreaming out loud. Miss Keanna Barber. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Listen, the people are coming in, and so we're doing something different today that we hadn't done. You're the first guest lecturer for the Dreaming Out Loud podcast. We are streaming live on Instagram as well tonight. Okay. So I was able to tap in and get our Instagram going. And so we got people tuning in on Instagram. So I'm really excited. So we're live on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube,
Okay. We got everybody watching. Everybody should be watching.
I wanted to make sure everybody was a part of this conversation because one of the things, and we start a business, so we need the legal, right? We need a lawyer. We can't always afford a lawyer in the beginning. So we had to wait till we make a few dollars. So we wanted to bring that resource. And then you need a good accountant, right? Because you're making money and then you're just spending it and you're not keeping track of it. You're commingling funds.
Yes. Or you hit it on the head. You generate 100,000, but you're not profiting anything.
I'm like
looking at your numbers.
You gotta have it. And funny thing, and I was honest because I teach our clients and our members through honesty, right? Through trial and error. When I hit my first $1 million in revenue, I started crying. And not because I was excited that we hit $1 million. I hadn't even noticed we made that much money. I was like, where's the money at?
Where the money, man, that's kind of what happened. He's
like, how did we hit $1 million? And I ain't got no money. So
100%, yeah. It's the profitability of a business. So that's something, like you said, that we got to talk about all the time. It's not just the bottom line number. And we know that being in business so long, and that's something we got to educate ourselves on, not just trying to hit that mark. Sometimes you can be more profitable when you're smaller. We've experienced that. Let's talk about the money and the funding that comes with growth. So you at 500,000, you might net 100,000. You get to $1 million, you might still be at 100, 125, but now you didn't brought on other people because you had to invest in new systems and new things and more marketing. So it's a balance. That's why Shark Tank, one of my favorite shows, because they always get down to the numbers and they challenge you to think about and make sure that you know your customer acquisition costs and all of those things. That's really. Because some people man, I done made $1 million. They on Shark Tank all the time, right? How much you generate this year? 4 million. But we gonna lose 400,000. It'd be like, what?
Right, like, wait a minute. What are we doing wrong? But that's why you gotta have a good team. And so we want to make sure, and that's what the Dream Center, and I know WDB, shout out. I know you kicked off your entrepreneurial cohort yesterday. Partnering with Discover. So that's amazing. But we both have the same passion and mission, right? To help entrepreneurs start and grow their businesses. So tonight, dreamers, dream builders, I almost said believers like I'm on the radio, but tonight, dream builders, we're talking about boosting your visibility, marketing strategies, and operational efficiency, right? Because you got these businesses, you got a great product, you got a great service, but nobody knows about it. Yeah. And you're not selling. You may bake the best cookies in the world, but nobody knows about your cookies because your branding and marketing is not there. And so we got Keanna. I want you to ask questions.
I want to know who's in the audience too. We talked about that. I'm real big on that. I told Marcel that's why we switched up the style a little bit. I don't like just talking to a screen. I like knowing who's in the room. But we did our cohort yesterday. How long you been in business? Why are you here? So let's introduce ourselves. Your customer might be in the chat.
It might be in the chat. So listen, be asking questions. Drop what you do, who you are in the chat. Now, technology is my friend, but it ain't. I just realized I don't know if the Instagram comments will pop up, but somebody on Instagram type something in. Let's see if it'll come in this chat box as well. But at the end of the day, we hope that you leave with something. If you have a question along the way, let us know. But we're going to hop right on in. Keanna, when you think of boosting visibility, marketing strategies, right? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
The first thing that comes to mind, well, us being a branding company, is what does it look like, honestly? Like when I think about marketing, I always think about the visual. So a lot of people ask what we do at WDB, and we do offer email marketing, but a lot of our marketing is around the visual. So we do the graphic design. So if you have an ad, it need to look right. It can't just be anything. Even if you boosting a photo, do you have professional photos? Do you have videography? So one of the first things that comes to mind is, what does it look like? And then also, what are you trying to say? About marketing, how are you trying to stand out in the marketplace? What makes your co-working space? What makes the Dream Center different? And to me, it all comes down to the fundamental question of, why do they need me? When you think about marketing, that's the first thing that you should be thinking about. If it's social media, if it's email marketing, if it's a TV ad, no matter what it is, you have to think about, why do they need me? And everything that you should be advertising should be speaking to that. You do an amazing job, of understanding, because one, you are a small business. So you know what it was like to start up. So when you do a lot of your advertising and I see your email, it's speaking to the pain points. Like you said, not for illegal. Well, come to this space where you might be able to get advice for free. Come to this space where you can meet other consumers. So understand why they need you, and everything that you do, all your marketing, all your tone should be speaking to that.
Yeah. And being consistent in your messaging, right? Try not to switch it up too much. So Keanna, for those that don't know you, can you share a bit about your journey in marketing and what led you to specialize in marketing strategies and, WDB?
Okay, because I got a second part to that. Is why do they
Oh,
need
okay. Well, wait. Let's hop into that second part. We can come back.
The second part was just going to be, and what do they care about? But that kind of that actually can kind of tie into my story a little bit. So why do they need you? Is understand your customer's pain point. So whether you are, and I use this example, and I'm probably people gonna rock with me, but McDonald's, right?
Okay.
So everybody ain't a fan of McDonald's, but Miss Keanna Barber, as fancy as I am, probably find myself at McDonald's like once a week. Why? Why? Because I'm always in a time crunch. So why do I need them? Because I needed breakfast today and I couldn't expend more than 5 minutes. Yeah. So that's an example really quickly. Why, when you think about that marketing, you have to build your business to fit with your customers. You got to serve them.
Look, I'm trying to take notes because you're dropping some gems. Make sure you're taking notes out there, everybody. But that's a good point.
What do they care about? I care about speed. And do I care about food quality? Absolutely. So my dinners, my brunch is going to be fancy, but in the morning, I just need sustenance. Like literally, I had a full day yesterday. We talked about that before we got online. My entrepreneurial life is crazy. So I'm up at 6 a.m. sending out estimates today, sending out this, doing that. So when I look up, it's 9. I'm like, man, I got to get to the office by 9:30. I need something that's speed. So I use them as an example because that's a brand that a lot of people don't act like they support, but they still $1 billion company. So somebody eating at McDonald's, but they are still serving a need. So you don't have to be the finest restaurant in the world to be successful. You just have to meet a need. Yeah. And when you do your marketing, everything that you do should be talking to that need. So that'll kind of bring me to a little bit about WDB. So I've been doing this. I know I don't look it, but I've been doing this for 20 years. I started fresh out of college, graduated from Northwestern in 2004. I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was just in my blood. It was in my family. Most of my family were like hustlers, so they didn't have a brick and mortar or maybe a structured business, but I always saw them being able to earn their own money by their own work ethic. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And fast forward, I graduated in 2004. And when my brother was up here, Bobby Barber, we talked about starting a business. And he had started this promotional company called What's the Business? And he just knew that was the way. And while he literally was up here, he was up here for a few weeks, he got killed. Had been in Chicago in 10 plus years. And I literally just asked God what did he want me to do? And I continued his vision. So that's how I got into entrepreneurship. And I was self-taught graphic design. A lot of people ask, well, how did you start while doing events? Well, I ain't had no money. I was 22. I was a baby. I literally did my very first event 3 months after that. And I didn't have money, so I had to teach myself graphic design. And this is before the Canvas of the world. I'm dating myself, but this is before we plug and play. We had no templates. There's Photoshop. We on a white canvas. So I was self-taught in graphic design. And I learned the hustle. I learned the promotional game, which doing events. That's one of the best ways to learn in business. So I did that for 2 years, and people started wanting me to promote their events, design their flyers, and help promote their brand more than my own events. So that's literally how I got involved in marketing. I literally came from, like I said, from a visual standpoint. I literally started with design. How did it look? And because my designs looked a certain way, that got me the customers, and the print naturally came with that. So that's literally how we got into the game of it. And we began to manufacture. So we began to not outsource the print, but control it ourselves. Yeah. And we literally grew from there. So now we work with over 5,000 businesses, but we work with about 1,000 businesses every year. The majority of them being small business owners. And our marketing, again, just like I was just telling you, is speak to who I am. We still a small business. Small business is considered under 20 million. I don't know what you didn't crack yet, Marcel, but we still got
I'm still a small business.
So I literally created a business that I knew that I also needed. And I think that's important when you're building a business. Not every business that you build, you may not need. You may just be making, utensils or something like that. But when you are the customer, you should make it as authentic as it is and become what you need in the marketplace. So that's what WDB became. We became dependable. We became cost effective. We became innovative, and we became a one-stop shop because I don't want to go here to get my t-shirts done and somewhere else to go get my flyers done and somewhere else to go get my banner. I trust you all. So that just started happening. Look, I trust you. Keanna, I'd rather you just do it. And that's like how our business evolved. And I taught about that yesterday. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but we were talking about mission and vision. And I was telling just our attendees that a lot of times your mission may change, but your customers will tell you what you're serving and how they need you. So be okay with your business evolving. Like I said, I started out doing event promotion, but my business evolved. And the more I did it, I say, they need us. They trust us. They like our design quality. So why not become more of what they need? So it went from just doing flyers to doing signage to doing apparel. And now we became this shop that, again, now I'm gonna go to them because they can do everything for me. So allow your business to evolve, because that experience, that was one of the things I was going to talk about. Experience is very much a part of the marketing. A lot of people want to isolate that. Yeah, we can jump into it. Ads and social media and email marketing. All that's to push people to the business. But customer service is very much a part of marketing, because no matter what, no matter how many ads you spend, and I'm sure this is true for you as well, word of mouth is always going to bring the most business. And word of mouth is a direct reflection of your experience. So more people are going to come to your co-working space and join as a member because another member told them about the value. So that's no matter if you put a line item for it or not, that's a part of your marketing. How people feel when they walk in the Dream Center. Are you all living up to the brand promise? That is a part of your marketing.
Now we are crafting a course, customer service for entrepreneurs, right? Because people forget that. And you hit something on the head. You can spend $1 million in radio advertising and get thousands of people to call. But if that customer service is terrible when they call, they're not doing business with you.
They're not doing business with you. Or you get them one time. To me, that's one of the tricks of marketing is how do you retain customers? The most successful business have retention. You're not advertising. You still always want to acquire new customers, but you also are retaining customers. It's cheaper to keep her. That's my favorite. It's the truth. It's cheaper to keep her. It's cheaper to keep somebody who's become familiar with your brand. I don't have to go and spend a new money on TV. I'm not gonna say radio because we making money.
Keep the radio advertising alive.
Yes, but we still. I believe in I believe in social media ads, but I also believe in marketing to the people who we've already worked with, and making sure that we provide value to them, and then we're doing well by them, because that's going to be a cheaper cost acquisition than getting a whole new customer.
I told a client yesterday, we have to understand how to nurture our leads and our clients, right? And that is your target market. Your first target market is your existing customer base. How can you keep them happy? Because guess what? If they're happy, they keep coming back, right? Yeah. Now, of course, we want to increase.
And we go back to that Shark Tank example when they asked about customer acquisition costs, which I don't really know, man. I don't know if you know yours, Marcel, but that's for the fancy folks. But honestly, customer acquisition is how much it requires you to get them as a customer the first time. Once you have them there, and we could talk a little bit about, I know you wanted to talk about technology, email marketing, text marketing, and just having a CRM, that's a very cost-effective, low tool. You're talking about maybe hundreds of dollars, maybe. And with that can market to 1,000 or 2,000 people. So you're talking about pennies per client to continue to promote to them. That's where you start seeing the needle moving, because you getting the same people to come back.
Now, for those of you that don't know, the cost to establish the cost of acquisition per customer, right, is based on several factors. How much you're spending on marketing, the different marketing avenues that you're taking, and then you divide that by how many. So, if you spend $10,000 on marketing, You got 5 customers, then that's how much it costs you to acquire each customer, right?
Yes, and like you said, it's your combined advertising. So if you're spending $1,000 on Facebook ads and you spending another 1,500 on radio, you're combining all of those. And then how many of those? But that go back to, and that's a key point in marketing too. Are you tracking your marketing? Are you actually tracking where those leads come from?
Yeah,
you know,
that's important.
That's important. You know, that can come from the CRM or it can come from very old school. How did you hear about us? But not enough of us are actually tracking what's working. So I challenge people a lot because, you know, we do a lot of print marketing. So we do like direct mailers and street team and different things like that. And sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know if the marketing is working. And it's like, well, are you asking people? Because, you know, people hold on to stuff. You know, it takes at least 3 times for people to begin to be familiar with the brand. I think it's like 7 impressions before they actually take action on something. So they may need 7 impressions. They may need that mailer to come. They may need to see a billboard. They may need to hear you on the radio. They may need to see you popping up. And then all of a sudden they begin to trust your brand enough to try it.
I always tell people, especially on radio, when you're starting a radio campaign, you got to commit at least 3 months. Now, if you can do 6 months, that's even better. But customers aren't going to call you off of your ad the first time they hear it. But like you say, 7 impressions. If they hear that name 7 times, then they're bound to call, right? But then we got shock advertising where, and then we got the viral marketing where you go viral, of course, and then bam, everybody want whatever you got. But I want to go back to CRM. For those of you that don't know, CRM is customer or client relationship management software. Yeah. And it's the best investment if you're in business to make, because it saves you a lot of time. It streamlines. You know, you could set up your emails to go out on certain days, months in advance, text messages. It tells you where the client, if they opened your email, where you found them at, how they got you, what link. So it's elaborate, but that's just a piece of it. So when we talk about marketing strategies, right, Keanna, what are some key marketing strategies that you believe every entrepreneur should implement regardless of their industry?
Well, we start with the CRM. I believe that every business should have a CRM. You mentioned a few. We actually sell a tool called the TBM 362. We do that in partnership with Cassiopeia. It's an all-in-one tool, but you do have other tools like MailChimp that I think up to 2,000 emails would be for free. So we have these different tools. What I like about the tool that we have is it's all in one. So you want to start with that. And the reason why I say start with that, and I was challenging my class yesterday, even if you got one customer, are you communicating with that customer? Do you know who they are? So to go back to that CRM as a baseline, I want to walk people, because I know we're teaching today. I want to walk people through a journey. So let's say they come in to WDB Marketing. Let's say it's Marcel. I need to know Marcel may be trying to get business cards, and maybe he wants them because everybody won't print by tomorrow. Maybe he wanted them today and we couldn't do it. He didn't came all the way in there. The power of the CRM, which is why everybody needs this, is whether he converted or not, I need to know his company name, his email, his phone number. I want to know his industry. Like, those are the data points that we're collecting. And from that, now that might have been an order that if I didn't have the CRM, he came in, he out the door, it's a lost opportunity. CRM allowed me to nurture Marcel and say, hey, you know what? I see, okay, he's in the co-working space, so he probably needs signage. So let's put him on a signage campaign. So now you got the basic data in your CRM. Now I can tag him based on his industry and say, I have a pre-planned email that just goes out and talks about how dope and cost-effective signage is. And in 3 days from the time that he come in there, it's going to bing him. He's going to get that email. Take it even further. If Marcel opened that email, I say, oh, okay. So I'm going to give him a little bonus. I'm going to factor him in. He highly interested because he opened up the email. Now, in another 3 days, I'm going to send him something and it's going to be a 10% off coupon for signage. A CRM can literally track every behavior that your customer does. When you have a really good CRM, it's going to track, it's called triggers. It'll trigger different things. And it'll trigger you every time. So if Marcel now goes to my website, this is literally building a profile for him. So I can see, oh, Marcel, and I mean, literally, this is what all marketers do. When you go to all these retail spots and you clicking and checking out, and they emailing you and saying, hey, don't forget what you left in your cart. That's all tracking.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. They're constantly tracking you. So a CRM is so important because it's one of the most cost-effective ways to maintain an existing customer or even somebody who may be a potential customer that showed interest. So to me, that's one. That ties into also collecting data. I'd be surprised at how many people do not collect data. I use the example all the time, and I know you super popular on social media. Marcel's so popular. You got 10,000 followers, and I've literally had this happen to personal friends and clients. You booming on social. Whenever you post, whenever you go live, you got 400-500 people watching you, so you selling your stuff, and then your page get hacked.
Where's the data?
You don't have any data. I've literally had customers who literally had to close their business because they were so used to selling on social. All Marcel ever had to do was say, man, I appreciate y'all rock with me. Guess what? And it's going to go back to the CRM. See, we tying this all together. Yeah. Drop that 4-digit code, 5555 right now. If you like what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you all a free guide on how to market your business in 2025.
Yep.
To get that free guide, I need your name, your company, your email, and your phone number. Now I've taken you from just on social offline, and I can market to you. So collecting data is something that I tell people, because people, budget is the friendliest word when it comes to marketing. One, you can't expect to make $1 million without spending some money. That's nothing. But
take money to make money.
Take money to make money, but collecting data is free, and we do not do it enough. I'd be so surprised at the number of restaurants I walk in that's not even collecting emails. You've literally had 1,000 people coming to your restaurant. So collect data, whether that's email, phone number, and figure out what matters to you. For us, it matters how long you've been in business, because we have a client avatar. Your revenue matters to me because we tap into growing entrepreneurs. So all of that matters. I see keep playing. Posting.
Yeah, it's not coming up. Can you see? Yeah, it's not. But I want to touch on something you just said, though, real quickly. Collecting the data is so important. I told a client yesterday, you advertise it on the radio, you have them call the number. The first thing you do when you answer the phone is get their name, number, and email address, right? Because then, even if they're not buying what you're selling right now, you got that contact to then keep reaching out, like you said. But
so you want to have a system, that's a CRM, and you can Google that. You can invest, like I said. We have one at TVM 362. I can share it after. We could do a posting. But what I like about our tool is it does the email, it does text, it does funnels, which we can talk about. It does the landing pages, and it does workflow. So when I talked about those automation piece, and I know we want to talk about that as well. It'll automate your business. So now I don't have to be thinking about Marcel every time I come in and say, oh, did we follow up with Marcel? Because I already got him on a funnel. And I can go in and point and look and be like, oh, okay, I see he didn't open up 3 emails. And I do. I look at my email. That's something else you should make sure you pay attention to the statistics. Like I just mentioned, we're not tracking where the leads are coming from. But even when you do send out email or text marketing, are you looking at the stats? I look at my email stats. I try not to feel offended when somebody unsubscribe. I'd be like, okay.
I was about to say, I gotta pray because I look at that data, but when I see somebody else subscribe, I'm like, now why? Now I'm like, oh, I can't get mad. Maybe they're not interested.
You do feel that way sometimes. I get people unsubscribe, but in the context. So in our email, like we just sent something out about our grand opening. We had about 2,400 people open up that email. I think I had maybe 6 people unsubscribe. So what matters more? Do I not send it out because of them 6 people who may be tired of me? And I unsubscribe to stuff. I try to clean my inbox out like once a week. Most of the time it's not personal. I'm probably just getting too much of it. And maybe I'm not your customer anymore. Sometimes I buy something and it is just a one-off time. So now you're still advertising to me. I don't want to be paying for you to be in my space anyway if you don't need my service. So it's hard. It's hard not to take it personal. Now, if you get a very high unsubscribe, then you may need to look at some stuff. You may be like, okay. And that goes to another point. One of my favorite things. So email marketing is one of my favorite tools. One is one of the most cost effective. You're talking about pennies. pennies to advertise to people, but always have value. I'm real big. If you look at our emails, and your emails are the same way. I provide value. That go back to that question that I asked earlier. What does your customer need? So yes, you're selling to them, but provide value. You sending your newsletter out, it got grants in it. We were one of the first people during the pandemic, sharing grants and information that we heard. Our email rates went up like crazy. And I wasn't doing that to trick the algorithm. I was really just trying to provide value to people. And I knew that people were hurting and we needed resources. A resource. So provide value. If you got a fashion brand, talk about the latest trends, highlight shows that are coming up, maybe give them some fun, different ways to use their clothes. You know, if you have something and you're doing food, provide recipes, show behind the scenes of you cooking. Like you can't just do the 15% off. You can't just be stale. You got to do something. You got to really think about, and that's really what marketing is all about. Marketing, again, is really about getting into your customer psyche and really understanding what it is. The same question. Why do they need you and what do they care about? That's all your marketing should be about. If you on the radio and you talking, why do people want to hear from Keanna Barber? Why do they need me? And what do they want to hear? Do they want to hear me talking about, I just did this and I just won this? Or they want to hear about value? Do they want to hear the pain points that I went through and how I overcame them in business because they're an entrepreneur and they're trying to find a pathway? That's why people are tuning in. That's why people, want to hear from you. So your marketing, and that's just changed over the last 20 years. It's all about value. It's all about story. And it's all about your customer. It is not about you. It is all about your customer.
So for the people who are saying, because you just said something, right? You've been in business 20 years. I've been in 21 years, actually, too. So we were the same time.
I'm so mad at myself because you're younger than me.
I started at 15, so, but things have changed, right? Absolutely. How important is it for an entrepreneur to stay ahead of the game, right? And to adapt new marketing strategies? Because somebody may say, I don't need to do anything else. I have my nephew go and put pluggers in the neighbors' doors up and down the street on their cars, and that's been working for me. How important is it for us as entrepreneurs to tap into some of these new marketing strategies?
Well, I wrote a book last year that I got to republish. And one of my chapters is Evolve or Die. And that's literally the case when it comes to business. I use an example, and I'm going to date myself with this, but I talk about Blockbuster. They probably know about Blockbuster. It was a video store, a brick and mortar video store. And they had the opportunity to buy Netflix and remember, I don't know if you know about that deal years ago, and turned it down. So the moment you think that you've done enough and you don't need to do anything else is the moment that your business is dying. The world is moving at too fast of a pace to feel like what you did even yesterday is good enough. You should always be thinking about what's next, what's going on. Like I said, our business, the way we started and how we built our business is going in a different direction. People are learning. People have more access to resources. 20 years ago, WDB was a hidden gem. Oh man, we got this Black-owned print shop. You all do this, you all do that. Well, now it's a lot of online print resources. Now you got Canva. If I'm not paying attention to that as a business, because we are successful, because we are growing, I don't know how long we're gonna survive. I have to be paying attention to that and saying, oh man, okay, people going more online, so we got to make sure we got our e-commerce on point. Okay, people using Canva, maybe we should be integrating Canva into our platform at some point so they could just upload what they designed in Canva straight to print. If you're not thinking about that, you will die. And there's so many examples of businesses. And again, you're a little bit younger than me, but I mean, I just think about the Toys R Us's and the Kmart, all of these huge brands, the Sears. We're talking about $200-300 million brand. We're not talking about no small mom and pops that because they didn't evolve, because they didn't realize that, man, online retail is taking over. Maybe we got to adapt something. Maybe we need to acquire some of these online brands because they had the opportunity. They had the capital.
Yeah.
So never just think it's just enough. Always be thinking about, and I always say when you mention that older person, get somebody young involved in your business. I've been doing this for 20 years. My partner, James, always, man, we got to get some young people around. We got to get some young people around because the world is changing at too fast of a pace. And you don't want, even if your demographic is older, at some point it will evolve and you have to be able to catch up with them. So, and again, who don't want more money? That's the other thing. So if the passing out flyers is working, well, shoot, doing a little bit of email marketing and you get another 10,000 a month, I want that money.
I'm telling you, don't leave no stone unturned.
You know, because your competition not. Somebody is always out there. So what you not doing and what you ignoring, just understand somebody else paying attention. And it may take them, they may be smaller, it may take them a little bit longer, but at some point they're gonna catch up with you because they paying attention to what you're not.
So I wanted to ask you about, did you have any recent like success stories where innovative marketing made a significant impact on the business? So I want to kind of give a brief example. I think it could be an example. So we talk about viral marketing, right? Which is, of course, new. It's social media. You go viral. You got millions of people looking at your business. But one of the issues, and I shout out to Michelle, who owns Michelle's Syrup, Michelle Food. We want these viral marketing moments, right? But are we prepared to go viral? And that's the issue. But we could dive into that. But if you have any, I know you work with a lot of people, if you could think of something off top, just a success story where they kind of switched the marketing campaign or implemented one and it kind of blew them up.
That is a great question. You know what? A lot of our clients, I mean, we do, we do a lot of mailers. I'm big on video now. So I'll give an example of, we just did a conference in DC, and as opposed to them, and it's always a big conference, but as opposed to them just like settling for what they normally do, they invested in professional photography from us, videography, signage, the whole 9 yards. And when I tell you it elevated that conference to a whole nother level, I mean, they got like the CEO of Wells Fargo there. Like, so you got to think about it. That was an investment. Now them conversations change. The conversations go from, we might have sponsored you for $25,000 this year, but next year, because we see how you leveled up, we have $100,000 conversations. So I was to witness that right before my eyes on the difference when you really invest and you level up. So I mean that, but to me, most of like some of our most successful customers. So we work with like S2 Grill and Can't Believe It's Not Meat and Flaves. We do a lot of their collateral. It's the experience. And that's why I still go back to that. The people sip and savor. Shout out to Trez Pugh. People who actually invest in the customer experience, the food quality, the customer service, the ambiance, they are winning. They are, and I know those are brick and mortar examples, but that can still be the same thing for a retail store. That can still be the same for somebody who's calling. And my experience, that could be, we talk about, I don't know if people are familiar with what UXI is, but your user experience when you go on your website. It's a reason Amazon one of the number one e-commerce platform. Not only can they get it to you crazy, they make it easier than ever. You literally can be on your phone and push 2 buttons and it's on the way.
And it may come in a couple of hours because
that's all experience. So Amazon, you don't see Amazon market a lot.
But that's a good example too, Amazon, of how companies shift, right, and change. Yes. Amazon started as a bookstore, online bookstore.
I bought their books when I was in college. I
remember when it was just books. And now, I mean, I literally don't shop anywhere else, really.
They're an example of a few things that we mentioned. They're an example of evolution. Mm-hmm. What do they care about? So they started in one space, but they saw that the world was changing. So that go back to your point. Do you stay the same? They could have stayed that online bookstore platform. So paying attention to the marketplace. They're an example of just what that experience and constantly evolving and improving their product to meet the needs. We are in a state of immediate gratification. Mm-hmm. If I can't get the person who can do it the fastest often wins right now. Let's just be honest. The person who can do it the fastest, because that's where we're at right now. We want the fastest phone, the fastest technology. We want our stuff to load fast. We want our food fast. We want to shop fast. We want everything to be fast.
Everything.
So they were ahead of the curve with that, and they were paying attention to it. And like I said, you don't see Amazon advertise a lot. Their advertising is built in their infrastructure and their experience. So that is a part of it. So when we talked about, I thought one of the most important things that you said when you started was we want to talk about operational efficiency.
Yeah.
Like they're an efficient company and that exudes everywhere. And now they've become a part of our life. They become literally a part of the, at least from America's standpoint, they become a part of our life. I don't know how many Amazon boxes I see everywhere I look. And
or how many come to your house and office and all that, right?
I didn't want to mention that, you know. He got some shaky practices with a few things. But yeah, that they're an example of evolving, understanding your customer. And they market, they partner, you know, they work, you know, they cannibalize, but that's a whole other story. You know, Amazon.
Well, yeah.
They cannibalize.
Yeah, they do. They putting markets
out of business.
Out of business.
Mm-hmm. But that's so big and so powerful that you can't do that.
Right. And that's, you know, of course, that then we would have to switch gears and take this into a political policy workshop, which is very important too. You know, if you're in business, just real quick, entrepreneurs that say, I don't do politics, you do politics every day in business. You just don't know it. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. But talking about operational efficiency, right? In your experience, what are some of the most common inefficiencies that businesses face?
That's a great question. We actually facing some of those too. I think that workflow piece is at the heart of it right now. We don't have enough automations in our business. I look at just to be transparent, even some of the ways that we do. When I mentioned that e-commerce, that's our pain point that we literally have to fix right now in our business. So inefficient is answering the phone, figuring out if we have it, doing this, doing that. How do you create more automations? How do you create more workflow? You know, and eventually, even if you have to invest in it up front, eventually that will require less people. You know, so I think that we're very inefficient in the way that our a lot of times our stuff flows. And I don't think that we do enough campaign work. I mentioned it earlier. People will say, oh, well, that wasn't effective. I did radio and it didn't work. I think that the way that we approach marketing is very one-off. Oh, I'm going to do email. Oh, I'm going to do radio versus this really need to be an integrated campaign. Yeah. When we do legacy, you mentioned that earlier. When we do legacy awards, that's a great example of an integrated campaign. We do media. So you see us on TV. We do radio. We do email marketing, not only through our system, but we pay for outside emails to go out. We have media partners like you and the Brunch Bunch. You know, we have influencers. So we have people that are on our committee that are also always inviting people. We have graphics that go out, and we do ads. I just named 7 different things for one event. I hope you that. You know, radio, TV, PR, actually, you know, which is, pay, you kind of earn media, but you also got to pay to kind of get out there. But it's a great way to position yourself. We did, like I said, email marketing, and then you do 2 types of email marketing to your own list, and then you pay for other people's lists. We did influencers. We do all social media platforms, which I know we haven't touched on social much, but we do all social media platforms, and we still do paid ads. Actually, I missed one. You know, like that's a fully integrated marketing campaign. And that's a full, and when people, that's something that we don't do. And then when people register, we still ask them how you heard about us. Because guess why? Next time we do it, now, okay, we're going to put more fuel here. We see radio is working a little bit more. We see this part is working. So not just doing like kind of like these one-offs. I think the other mistake that we make is
just throw it at the wall and see what stick, right?
Yeah, and not being patient enough. And I mean, I've done that before. You do a campaign and people are so quick, oh, it didn't work. You send out that one email and nobody opened it up and your feelings hurt. But we in business. You can't take this stuff personal. You got to learn from it. Was my subject line whack? Was my graphics whack? Did I send it out at the right time? You know, all of that stuff is a formula. When you send out emails, we send out emails out. I'm always telling my team, I'm sending my email out at either 8:30 a.m. because it's the beginning of the day, right when you're going into work, or I'm sending it out around noon because that's when most entrepreneurs actually, if we take a lunch, we don't really take a lunch. But around 12, between 12 and 1:30, we might be slowing down a little bit. We check. But I did that. One, it was a little bit of instinct, but we've been doing this for a while. I also paid attention to the numbers. We send an email out at 4 or 5 p.m. Be hard to get any because people, you at the end of your day. Yeah. Now for a party promoter, that might be different, but you have to understand your audience and what but you have to pay attention to the actual data. So that's the other thing. Pay attention to the data. You know, we doing these campaigns, but we're not actually measuring it. But get you a CRM. You know, like I said, from a very baseline level, there are ones that are free, especially if you don't have a lot of data. They're free trials. I've probably signed up for every CRM you can mention. Anytime somebody mentions CRM, I'm like, yeah, I tried that before.
Yeah,
you know,
you gotta try to find your perfect fit, but it's a tool that you need.
Yeah.
And
And
I got
everyone gives you a free trial for at least a week or two. Almost every one of them.
Look, I pay for one, and every month I say I'm canceling this, and every month I realize I can't cancel it. I need it.
You need it. Yeah, I wanted to touch on social a little bit because I know that's something that people always ask about. And although we are present on social, that's not like our main area that we really focus on. But one tip I always like to give people is people get very overwhelmed when it comes to social. And one, the algorithm is always changing. Marcel, you do a great job. I tell people to choose one, maybe two platforms and really hone in on it as opposed to trying to do everything.
Right.
Because the audience is different, the tone is different. So I love Facebook. You know, Facebook is like, to me, is like my algorithm because it's my customers are there, my friends are there, people I went to school with there. So that's where I have kind of like my supporters. So I always do that. And then I'm pivoting from Instagram to LinkedIn because I should have been on LinkedIn. So choose 1 to 2 platforms and hone in on it. And don't give up because consistency is key. And marketing consistency is key. You cannot take this personal again. We know we watching them unsubscribes too. We looking and we posted that. And ain't
I thought it was only me.
We looking at posted, ain't nobody like that. It was a couple of things, you know, because the algorithms change, and I'll use legacy as an example of that again. And I talked to Marcel about this actually months ago. I don't know if you remember. I'll get, posts, my engagement is normally really, really high, but I'll notice around legacy time that my engagement, it peaks at the beginning and then it goes down. Well, that's because Facebook knows that I normally pay for advertising. So at some point, they're going to truncate my engagement because they want me to pay again. Yeah. So that you got to understand the platform. Don't take it personal. That means sometimes it's just people aren't seeing it.
Yep.
But you got to hone in and you got to learn it. And people ask often about hiring because we try to get into social. I hop right out of that because it's a lot. But I'll give a tip. I believe in hiring. We have a content manager. She does a lot of content for us and posts. Shout out to Millie Frick, the Frick Effect. I shall be trying to steal her, but
I'm like, yes, she works for all of us.
I know, she's amazing.
No, she is amazing.
I have her focused specifically on Instagram. So another tip I tell people is sometimes you do need to hire. If you can't find, an intern, or you can't find someone to do that for you, but really understand and challenge them on their skill set. When somebody tell you they can catch all for Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and all that stuff, there's a few unicorns out there, but I haven't met many. Generally, people that are the best at what they do, they own 1 or 2 platforms. They may be really good at paid ads on Facebook. They may be really good at YouTube marketing. So I always give that tip because that's something that everybody feel overwhelmed when it comes to social media advertising. Most people find people who are honing in and ask them for social proof. Yeah. Everybody can talk a good game. I understand what to post and what it should look like, but I'm not an expert. That's not my area.
And that takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of it takes a lot of time, but ask them, show me some social proof. Somebody came into my office yesterday. Hey, I do social media. Okay, email me, send me a few accounts that you're working on. I need to see that you've built up organic, natural engagement. And it don't have to be crazy numbers. So somebody's able to take a page from, let's say 1,000 followers to 3,500 followers. That's a nice, boost. But
it's the engagement because I learned, and I'm like you, we always got people coming to us telling us, oh, I can do A, B, and C. But I always tell my clients, you can't be a shoe salesman and you walking around with holes in your shoes, right?
Absolutely.
That makes no sense. I'm not buying my shoes from you and yours are toe up. But I will say that it's very important to understand that it doesn't matter if you got 100 followers or 100,000 followers. It's about the engagement and the reach, because you could be reaching 100,000 people with 100 followers. And I realized I got a few followers and I wasn't getting engagement because, of course, Facebook was my home. Facebook is where my family, church family, community people, so they gonna support me. But I also realize they don't really want to see my business stuff on Facebook. They want to see family. So you also got to know your platform. You got to know what your audience wants to see. So I know Facebook wants to hear my testimonies. Now, every once in a while, I can throw in what we're doing business-wise, and I'll get some support. But it's when I'm sharing my personal life is when I'm getting 200, 300, 400 likes. Now, Instagram, I decided to focus on branding, using my personal brand, but business, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what this webinar is about. Shout out to Cherie. She says she loves it. This webinar tonight and this conversation is really about marketing, strategies, branding, and operational efficiency. And we've touched on all of them, and they all go hand in hand, right?
They all go hand in hand.
So I wanted to ask you, because we got a few minutes left, but I did want to just touch on for those people in the back. Because I hear people putting my brand, right? And I don't even know what they be talking about half the time. What is a brand?
What is a brand? That is a good question. I don't know if that's a tricky question. So I'll say, to me, a brand really has to have a bigger following. Like if you have a product that is not a brand. So to me, a brand is multifaceted. It has aspects to it, and it has a loyalty to it. So if you have, let's just say you have a hair care product and you just got one. Mm-hmm. That's not a brand yet. You're still in business, but you don't have a full brand. A brand means if I drop another product or line, shout out to Mael. I'm still rocking with Mael. If they drop something, people are following the brand. They're not even following the product. You see what I'm saying?
It's like identification.
It's the identification, but it's a bigger movement than just an individual product. When you have a brand, people are following that. Gucci is a brand. It don't matter what Gucci put out. I'm following the brand more than I'm actually just following that actual product. So most of us start out with just a business. And yes, the brand is the visual. It is the logo. Those things encompass a brand. But just because you got a logo don't mean that you got a brand.
Yeah.
That brand got to be recognizable. That brand, and then I used to always say a brand has a feeling. A product don't have a feeling. A product has a purpose.
Yes.
Your product is doing this thing, but a brand has a feeling.
I like that. I'm writing that down.
I know I should have wrote it down too. Don't be stealing my. Don't put that.
I'm gonna quote you on it though. No, look, my pen don't want to work, so maybe the Lord has said, "Don't take her quote."
No. You're right. I'm writing it down too, though. But yeah, a product. So if you just sell food, it just has a purpose. But when you have a full brand, Chick-fil-A. Love them, like that's a brand. You get a feel from them. You have your loyalists that's going to talk about that no matter what they putting out. They were ready to go for it. So again, I using that hair care example is a great example of that, at just that one product. But do they care if you put out something else? When you got a brand, they following it. And we all know apparel. So from Gucci to Louis, it don't matter what they putting out, that new Louis line, Louis is the brand. It's not about that purse. It ain't about that belt. It's the brand. It's everything that that it encompasses. And when you do it right, people have a feel. So people have a feel when they hear WDB marketing. It's more than just print. Print is the product. But when you got that,
No, I'm sorry to cut you off. I just you saying something, and I want the dream builders, I keep wanting to say the believers, the dream builders to understand when in business, when you talk about brand identity, right? What Keanna is saying, when you see a Louis, a real one, I mean, you know the difference between a real one and a fake one because of that brand identity, right? And so with of course, WDB, if you notice the Dream Center, green is just, that color is associated with Marcel Action Jackson personal brand. Every business, everything is always going to be the greens. And when you walk in, it's me. That's a piece of that brand identity. Your logo is a part of your brand identity. And you have to stay consistent. But one of the things I do want to share with you all, and I know Keanna knows this best, when you're consistently building your brand and your brand identity where your brand is recognizable, people will talk about your brand in rooms that you're not even in.
Absolutely.
They will know you need printing, you need, marketing, call WDB because of that brand recognition.
Mm-hmm.
And so the most important thing that we want you to know, first of all, your brand has a feeling and your product has a purpose. So make sure you know the difference. I like that. Is your product is just not your brand.
I can
You
say
can't
that the Gucci is a feel. It's
Yeah.
a feel. It's a lot of belts out here. There's a lot of purses out here. That's just the purpose. But when you talk about Gucci, you got a feel. When you talk about certain brands, you just naturally get a feel.
Yeah. No, that's good. That was a mic drop, actually, honestly. So many people are building their businesses on a product. Your product has a purpose, but your brand has the feeling, right? You build your brand so solid that whatever product you create.
Yeah.
Mael is a huge brand. They have hair care products. Now they go into hair care tools or whatever, cars. That brand is there, that color. You're going to see, when I see Mael, I'm always going to see something pink, right? Yep. That's a part of their brand identity. So if anybody was interested in working with WDB, how could they connect with you?
Well, it is very easy. Mentioned we got our new location, so we consistent. Because speaking of branding, the blue is us. All our handles are at WDB Marketing, so our website WDB Marketing, all our social platforms. We got 2 locations to support you, South Highland, and we just opened up our new location on 16th in Michigan, 1633 South Michigan, and we do everything. So I always like to talk to people, and sometimes people feel like we so big that we don't work. We are still at the heart. We were built on small businesses. We're still a small business, so we will always support small businesses. So that means everything. If you coming in and you just getting started and you need your logo created, you don't know what it needs to look like. We're very much on the visual side. So graphic design, photography, videography, even some web, and then full service print. So everything from your flyer to your t-shirt. We definitely gonna make sure you rep your brand wherever you go. If you ain't built it yet, WDB gonna help you build it. At some point, people gonna have that feel because the brand is about consistency, and we talked about that a little bit. But it is very much about consistency. People have to see it. It shouldn't look one way 1 minute and then one way another. You shouldn't be promising one thing and then you experiencing something else. It has to be consistent. So that starts with a good marketing team. So definitely would love to help anybody as they coming out here and turning their business into a brand. So
I love it, and Keanna, you are a brand builder, a brand ambassador. You are a brand champion, right? You champion brands all across this country. And while you were talking, it made me think of the amazing Fawn Weaver, who is the CEO of Uncle Nearest. I was blessed to sit with her, and in the room, she told us that you got to own your brand, right? And we know that, right? But when you said all our handles are WDB, right? She said before she starts a business.
Yes, that's a great one.
Know that she owns everything associated with that name and that brand.
Every asset. The first thing you look for is web, and then you look for your social handles. That's something my partner James always a champion of that. When people come in with their name, people be so focused on trademark, and I'm not knocking trademark, but you need to just make sure in the social world it's available. Yeah. If I'm WDBmarketing.com, but I'm like, you got to go to WDB1Chicago.com. You like, oh man, that's off brand. What happened?
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Make sure you got that social handle, make sure you got the website and everything that goes with it, and be as consistent as possible.
Yeah. Well, Keanna Barber, WDB Marketing, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Of course, I was going on Instagram. The comments were not coming up over here. I checked the comments. No, they weren't. But, that's something we got to email this software about to say, hey, Instagram comments need to pop up too. We had a nice amount of people. Thank you all for tuning in. Keanna, once again, you're doing amazing work. I'm glad we're connected. I often, and I'm going to keep saying this, there is a shift taking place, not only in this city, but in this country. And it's the time for the next generation of leaders and entrepreneurs to really step up, because it's our time to shine. And if you need any help, any assistance, make sure you check out WDB Marketing. Keanna Barber and her team are doing amazing work. Thank you again for joining us. I know you got a busy evening.
We got to do a collaboration at some point. I'm going to put this out here on social so it make it happen.
Listen, the Dream Center and WDB is definitely doing, and I'm glad you said that because I'm putting it out here too. I'm working on a contract, and I'm going to include WDB in it.
Oh, I love it. You got to speak up. That's other marketing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Look, you have not because you asked now, but that is definitely, we have to quit looking at people as competition and look at people as potential collaborators, because it's enough money and resources for us all. And so, listen.
Let go of brand ego.
I'm glad you're in the South Loop now.
I know, we closer now, but let go of brand ego. The biggest businesses, I mentioned a couple, but they acquire each other. They collaborate together. That's how you build. It's so much opportunity and so much room out here. But if you look at the biggest brands, the Frito-Lays, a lot of people don't know that was two different families that were warring. I watch a lot of The Food That Built America. I don't know if y'all watch the history.
Oh, I didn't know, and I didn't know that was two different families.
A man called Herman Lay, and I forgot the Frito family name, but they were literally at war, two different territories, and at some point they merged. General Mills, two different brands. Kraft Heinz. These are family names that at one point they were either competition, but at some point they merged. So the biggest brands that we see today often merged, and at one point they were competition. But now they got legacy forever. Their families are set forever because
that's interesting.
Are all family names. Yep, Kraft Heinz, Frito-Lays, all of them. So we gotta talk about that offline. But I love that.
We having a good time. We could be on here for hours talking business, brand, and marketing. Look, I'm seeing people like, okay, the hour's up. I'm getting up out of here. So, but no, thank you, Keanna. This replay will be available on YouTube. And for those who registered, you'll get an email with the replay link. But thanks again, Keanna. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you soon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right. Listen, Dream Builders, that's it for the Dreaming Out Loud podcast webinar series. This was the one right before our final one. Next week, next Thursday, we have Mikai Brown from U.S. Bank that's going to be teaching about access to capital. They actually have a program that they're looking to fund small, local, Black and brown businesses. So you don't want to miss that next Thursday. We're going to put that link out tomorrow for you to register. We want to keep that one intimate. We may not be live. We may, I'll pray. But listen, if you're an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur looking for help, resources, you can check out the Dream Center. That's thedreamcenter.com. Check out WDB Marketing and make sure you connect with any of the speakers that we brought, because we didn't bring them just to educate you. We trust them as partners to help you in your journey. So listen, we're going to get out of here. Thank you again. We will see you all next week.
When you're a small business owner, you need access to the tools and support you never knew you needed. At the Dream Center, we offer co-working space and support services that elevate the everyday entrepreneur. Centrally located in the rising Soul City corridor of Chicago, we're the ideal environment, offering monthly and quarterly networking for members. Bring your idea to fruition. Expand to new heights. Call now or visit thedreamcenter.co today.